I'm just kidding.
Well,
a bail is like slamming, like eating shit.
Yeah, because I think of a bail as like a purposeful, like,
oh, like I
oh
jumped
no, I need
off
to
because
leave
I was
the board.
Yeah. So what? So you call it slam? What would you call
your biggest shit-eating moment?
Yeah. What would you call it when you eat shit? If it's
the unexpected board betrayal.
I mean, I would just call it. It's always a nosedive.
It was easy.
But what?
It's always a nosedive.
Just yeah, we just called it nosedive.
I think maybe one of your better ones was on Thunderdome. When I think didn't you have a full Superman? I mean,
I had a few Superman.
The best Superman you've ever had. You've had some incredible ones. I'm trying to think.
I mean, I had a good one on Flume.
Yes, you did.
Right into the dirt.
You've actually had some of your best ones on camera.
Yes.
Did you bring those?
That's why
you played.
Yeah, we'll have to play them up. We're gonna need like this video footage sent to me afterwards,
and then we'll just make this by this.
The fail
right?
reel.
You actually have acquired some pretty great. I mean, all those nosedive submissions. You've acquired a pretty great.
Oh yeah, it's not just me. Everyone's doing it.
Yeah. You've got a great access of a library.
We got the full library. All right. Yep. Cheers the microphones.
You suck.
Everybody, welcome back to the Pushback. Today we're stoked to be joined by himself, Robert Allen, the Badger.
The Badger himself. Get wet.
Get wet.
Get wet.
We are
theme song by Ori. Thank you.
So good, right?
Badger, your one wheel. Get wet. I was so about to sample that from like the first episode and just pull it out.
Catch on. It's not catchy. We're not gonna do it.
I think it is. All it needs is a little jingle behind it. It's ready.
That's all you need. So yeah, last episode was really, really fun. We had our first experience with the virtual. For anyone who watched it, you noticed like some serious lags, which was fun, but the quality came out really good. I was pumped. But anytime we can, we're super excited to have people in person. So thank you guys for making the drive, because right now it is snowing like a mofo outside.
It's pretty gross.
And 4-wheel drive still made it down here.
Oh yeah.
And go shred some XRs afterwards. So we're gonna get right into the interview, dude. And I wanna start off with the interview with, figuring out this backstory of how you got into one wheeling.
Yeah. Well, it was Facebook that kept showing me the ads. Honestly.
The power of retargeting.
Somehow, I don't have a board sport background at all, so I don't know how they knew. But
you're into tech. You're into techie things.
Yeah, electronics, electric cars, all that kind of stuff. So I started seeing the ads, and I kept thinking, you know what? First of all, this is super expensive, but this is going to be one of those things that it looks really cool in the ads, and then you do it, and it's like, oh, what a letdown. But I finally did it because I was like, you know what? I'm not getting exercise. Yeah. And I love trails. I love exploring. But I just don't like running.
Okay.
The actual making yourself move part is like, ugh. So I convinced myself, I'm going to get out. I'm going to get out and exercise because of this thing. So I finally did it. And that's the very first thing I did is get on a trail.
Okay.
He was born in the trails.
Born on the trails, you could say.
And he baptized me in the trails as well. This is before I'd ever done any sort of trail riding. I met up with Robert in Mohican. Which Mohican is a disgusting. You would think it's actually pretty nice, but it is pure roots and rocks, and up the first climb. I had a brand new XR.
What? Okay, so XR, is this where we're at? Did you get in with XR or Plus?
I got in with Plus actually.
Okay,
yeah.
So I had a brand new XR, and get out first time meeting Robert, and we're like, okay, let's go on this trail, and then it's this climb, this rooty climb. I immediately break one of my bumpers. Fresh XR, and then we're going along, and I am just like, I don't know what we're doing right now. This feels like some sort of spirit journey. I don't know what's going on. I'm being led into the woods on this crazy ass trail. But yeah,
I almost ruined trails for him.
Mm-hmm.
He was like,
"Yeah,
you've done this before, and you're coming back
to it."
It's like, well, yeah, I'm a little bit of a glutton for punishment, but this trail's pretty good. And he wasn't sure if that was the way he wanted to go, but
yeah. But he wouldn't stop. So
you met in a public place.
We did
with 2 exits.
Yeah.
It went pretty well.
2 exits up the hill or back down.
So what about? All right. So before Ori gets introduced, how long were you riding one wheel? Before you guys even linked.
Well, I had my XR at that point, so it must have been about a year.
Okay. So you had the Plus, not very first, or.
Yeah, I wasn't the first. I think I got my Plus in the summer.
Okay.
Ish after it came out. So it was pretty new.
All right. Gotcha.
That's actually when the Plus came out, they're like, ooh, the new model, more powerful. And I was like, okay, I'll get this one.
I got you. All right. So it's like the GT people now
It's like
who
me.
haven't like.
I got my XR in June of last year. I mean.
Yeah.
And now it's like.
Yeah, now it's the
GT
new board.
Well,
That XR is not dying anytime soon.
Oh, you're good.
no, man, it's beautiful. I love it.
So like now we'll get into talking about a little bit about like I want to talk about your backstory a little bit, how like maybe some of the tech things that translated, but like you're modding Onewheels as far as like the badgering. That's the thing you're kind of known for at first, right? The waterproofing.
Yeah.
Did you pull up out your Plus or your XR? Like when did you just decide that you were going to start tinkering with this?
Yeah. Well, so before I kind of knew about how waterproof it was, I took it into the lake. It was super fun. And then it stopped working. I was like, oh no. I think I ruined my new $2,000 toy. Like, oh,
when you say
no.
took it into a lake,
Well,
give
just
me
like in the shallows,
okay,
you know.
like you didn't just go off a diving board.
No,
it's
just like
waterproof,
along
right?
the beach, like into the waves. It was so fun. So fun.
Okay.
Barefoot
How
riding.
long did it last before it died?
It was about 5 minutes. Like the Bluetooth cut out and I was like, I'm not able to connect.
Oh, it's probably signal.
I bet it's just a Bluetooth thing. And then like it just stopped completely. And
It
I was like,
just kept
oh,
going. Okay.
I guess it's, and then I like kept trying to plug it in. It was like, no. I'm like, oh no.
Oh shoot.
So then I got on the groups or whatever and like, yeah, dude, you ruined it.
dumbass.
you diced it. Did you?
No,
just,
I took it apart and dried it and it worked again.
okay. All right.
Yeah, the Bluetooth never worked again, but the board worked.
Got you. So the Bluetooth sensor never worked again, but
Yeah.
He was stuck in Sequoia.
So you didn't have to buy. You didn't have to buy a new XR or a new Plus
A new
at
Plus,
this point. Okay.
No.
Cool.
Yeah.
Did the Plus have ride modes? Was that a thing?
You know, I don't remember knowing about them.
I think they did.
Yeah, they did.
I think they did.
They
Yeah.
must have.
I think custom because I think custom was the only new thing, and that came out a ways after the XR. And I'm pretty sure right when they had the app, you could switch riding modes. So yeah, when was your first badgering? Like when did you first? I mean, it was
that like when
probably
you
it was
pulled the
probably
board apart?
a thing you built on. You probably like
Yeah.
did this part, then this
Well,
part
so
next.
I mean, after that, it was like, okay, well now I have to worry about water, and it kind of rains a lot.
Especially in Ohio.
Here and there, yeah.
Yeah, so I actually went on. It was pretty fortuitous. It's the cover video of my website, but I went on a ride. Wasn't really expecting it to rain, and this massive thunderstorm came in, and so I had my 360 camera, and it was like, well, I got to get back to the car. Like, here we go. So I got a great video of that. My board wasn't actually badgered at that point.
So you had to take it apart and ride again.
I still use it as an ad because I kind of got lucky. But yeah,
So
after
it
that,
didn't die on that.
didn't
trip.
die.
That wasn't even badgered. Is this false advertising?
Well, the thing is, here's the thing. I was riding flat. So riding flat.
it wasn't submerged.
It wasn't
not being submerged. And that's really the main thing. If it tilts over at any point, like then it's really easy for water to run in.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
but I got a little bit lucky on that. And then it was like, okay, I'm going to seal this up. Like I got to figure out where this thing is leaking, why it keeps getting water in it and dying. And so that began this process of figuring everything out and coming up with a kit and blah, blah, blah. And then, a lot of people were saying, dude, there's nothing out on the market for this. So when you get it figured out, let me know.
So you solved the problem and were encouraged to sell it, basically.
Yeah. Other people were like, dude, people will pay for this. I'm like, I don't know. So that was, getting the business all set up and all that. That was kind of I kind of had to get pushed for that.
Yeah.
And for anyone like any of the Onewheel listeners that might be new listening to, like, so what is Badger? It's just Onewheel waterproofing. Is that what the whole Badger name came from, or?
Yeah, it's basically just the waterproofing. The big thing was when I was taking it apart, I couldn't figure out where it was leaking. So the big thing was the sniffer tool, applying it to the vent, applying suction to figure out if there's leaks anywhere, and then methodically trying to find all of them and plug them.
So can you fully submerge a correctly badgered board?
Yeah, I have a video actually of putting my battery controller in a tub, and then and filling it up and turning it on underwater.
That's cool.
That's
real
cool.
I wouldn't suggest.
Maybe I think I saw like Mandy Mcfly or something like that. His like went off into a lake at one point. It still worked afterwards, but it was never badgered or anything. So like, obviously it varies per board. Like one
It
board.
definitely does. Yeah, it varies, and again, the upright vertical position is the safest way.
I got you. Okay. Now, because you make bearing seals too, right? Like,
Yeah.
So the badgering process, like, what would you say is the most at risk component of the board?
Oh yeah. So the first job I did was actually for Bradley Spence.
I didn't know that. That's funny.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is.
He's the EVs guy. He's from Canada.
Yeah, he runs the Float Life Canada now, right?
And yeah, he's Float Life
okay.
Canada.
And he also, yeah, that was Bradley.
Yeah. So that's when I first learned that you can accidentally get the thin silicone on the pins and then prevent them from working.
Interesting. Okay.
And so I got his board all finished or whatever, and we plugged it in, and he's like, dude, the sensor doesn't engage at all. And so there was like a bit of a frantic moment there where he's like optimistic, and he's like, dude, I'm sure you'll figure it out. And I was like, yeah, I'll figure it out. Like, oh no. And it's like, oh, I think I know what happened. I think there's, and I like took it apart and cleaned the pins off, and
Gotcha.
but that was a dicey moment. So that's the worst thing that can happen.
Is
really.
the controller itself?
Yeah, you get silicone on the pins, and then you got to clean them off, and it's a pain.
Gotcha. All right. But that's during the badgering process itself, right? Like, or okay. As far as like, if someone was to like get into like badgering the board, like what's like does the bearings matter? Like having the bearing seals, all that different stuff. Like, are there components inside the motor itself that can get ruined?
So I actually thought, since they're technically waterproof bearings, that it just wasn't an issue. And people kept asking, well, what about the bearings? How do I waterproof the bearings? And then my own bearings rusted out at one point. And so I realized, well, no, after a while, like the seals wear out and then rust gets in and it's not good. So yeah, you don't want to get water into your motor. You know, most people.
Not typical.
Yeah. So that was just the natural next step. Just get those guys greased up and keep them in perfect shape.
Gotcha. Okay. So I want to get back to your one wheel story itself, though. All right. So you're riding the Plus, like you go through this trail. It's getting a little wet. You decide to go ahead and figure out how to badger it. Like, how much riding was in between? Because that wasn't the Plus then that you badgered the first time, right? It would have been the XR.
No, I also did my Plus.
Okay.
I think I had both of them at that time, so I did both of them.
Okay, gotcha. So you kind of tore them apart both at the same time and figured it out, or was the Plus before you?
Yeah, I mean, for a while I just rode the Plus and just kind of avoided water.
Okay.
You know, and then after a while I was like, okay, I probably should try to solve this.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to escape water in Cleveland. So yeah, there was a bit of time there where it was just an issue that I just kind of in the back of my mind, like, I should fix this.
Yeah. Okay. So you pull the board apart, start figuring out this whole badgering process, right? And you eventually, did you just keep it, like, you didn't keep it to yourself, obviously. Like, when did you release it to the public, or did you just start with like Facebook groups, or like how did you?
Yeah, I kind of shared my initial progress in the .pro group.
Okay.
And I got a lot of encouragement there, and so it was pretty much as soon as I decided, okay, I need to put this together in a kit, then it was like, okay, well, I know how to do it, but how do I get it all together, make some instructions, you know, figure out the perfect thing that's user-friendly. Actually, so for the sniffer tool, people probably don't, well, some people probably know exactly what it is. But the suction tool, I tried a bunch of different, you know, rubber bulbs, you know, big ones, a turkey baster. That was the first one.
Okay.
You know, that it's a little bit too small, doesn't quite work. So I was searching for rubber bulbs on Amazon, and it's the enema bulbs.
Nice.
Are the ones that you find eventually.
I have a fine collection myself.
Yeah. I mean, everyone has them. They just don't realize that it's multi-purpose. So that's what I got one, and it was like, oh, this is the perfect size. Like, it's just the right amount of air volume, enough suction, blah, blah, blah. So I just started ordering them from Amazon, you know, because
Jeff Bezos is like, what is
it's the
he
easiest
doing?
source, you know, and whoever's working in that warehouse, you know, they had been wondering, like, dude, these are reusable.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to buy 20 of them.
They're like, well, whatever, no returns on adult products.
Right, exactly. So that's one item that was repurposed. Obviously, the guitar pick.
Yeah.
Couple other, because of course nobody makes the parts that I need.
Right.
So,
yeah. So then you just
had to get creative.
Yeah.
You know?
I started building your kit. So when was Badgerwheel, like, I got to ask you, like, how'd you come up with the name?
Actually, the name was the hardest part. Yeah, I didn't have any help on that. And I'm just not like a word person.
Is that why it doesn't make any sense?
Yeah, it kind of is. You can tell.
Dude, I love the name though.
First time I told my wife about getting a board badger or something, she's like, "Why a badger?" Like,
you mentioned
why
it
a
to me
badger?
too, and I was like, "What the fuck does that mean?" I like my board just like it is. And you're like, "No, it'll make it waterproof." I'm like, "What does that have to do with
What
badgers?
does it have to do with badgers?
Is it because it's a pain in the ass and badgers are notoriously mean?"
Yes. Yeah. I mean, we could go with that.
Well, I think it was kind of but like honey badger don't care, right? Type thing. Like it's just like you can just go in water. It's like just,
Yes.
you don't have to,
Well, at some point I decided, all right, I have to get an animal in the name somehow.
Sure, because how else are you going to make a logo?
Right. It was like, okay, I looked at the other companies that have names. They were too abstract.
Future
the float
motion.
life,
What does that
future
even
motion.
mean?
I was like, okay, I'm not creative enough to come up with that. I'm just going to
Yeah,
go
right.
with an animal. Everybody does that.
Your spirit animal's the badger.
Yeah, so I went with the honey badger. Why not? And I don't know, a regular badger, not as ferocious, but
still pretty
good enough.
Still
Good
pretty
enough.
tenacious. I mean,
Yeah, they're
as
very
an
tenacious.
animal, I
Very
mean,
tenacious.
Yeah, I mean, I really do think that you just, when we were out on our spirit journey out in Mohican, I think that you found, whether you remember or not, you saw a white badger,
I channeled my
a white spirit badger come from the woods.
And play in the water and come out
And
unscathed.
so, Badgerwheel was birthed.
Yeah. So that's it.
I made him a logo.
All right.
And,
so,
man, it
all right.
looks
So,
really good.
when did you two get introduced in the story? Like, how did that happen?
Well, I think I think
flight
you were
shield.
talking to Michael actually for some
Yeah.
reason, and then Michael was like, "Hey, this guy up in Cleveland, like he's a writer. Like you guys should meet up." And I think that we connected.
It was
And
the flight shield. Remember?
was that how we connected?
It was.
Oh, okay. Yeah. For those who don't know, this man right here came up with the flight shield design, and we're like, okay, well that's badass because the first flight shields were like tucked under the fin. You would kind of like pry up the fin and like shove it in there. It was not an elegant process per se. And then he posted a couple of pictures of a much cleaner design, and we're like, okay, that looks awesome. And then video of him just snapping it in, snapping it out, and we're like, that's awesome. Like, yes, absolutely. And Robert was gracious enough to share the designs with us, and after that, we just we met up, we started going on rides. I started liking trails. I think that was one of the moments too when I really felt like Onewheel clicked as well, when it was like, oh, this isn't just something you can do on the street and just cruise around. Like, this is an explorative tool as well. I just hadn't taken on anything that explorative.
The first moment you hit trails, it's so different. You know what I
it's
mean?
very
Like,
different.
I had a pint first and it had, stock everything. And I never even touched a trail system. Like, I just kind of want to ride and cruise. And then I think actually the first time I actually really hit trails was, it wasn't Travis's. What's, where the Ashland barn is, where they have all the little bridge, people go down there and Freerfield. Yeah. You know where Freerfield is, right?
I do, yeah.
It's like this.
I would have
it's just
never,
like this
I would have
full
never
trail.
come up with Freerfield with those.
The big white barn. I can't remember where Dale Roy's
Yeah,
school is
I
and all
gotcha.
that. And it was muddy as heck, like full day out, and I'm
Yeah.
slipping all over the place and all that. So very similar.
So I
experience.
think
Wasn't
now that
as
you bring
rooty.
that up, technically that was my first trail as well. Like there's that paved part, and then in the woods there's just like a little. It's like a nice little.
It goes
little
off
dip
route
thing.
from like a park paved path to you could kind of start to explore trails.
And I when I went back on, it was like the first week that I had my board, and I was trying to get back on the trail, and I didn't understand how to like bump something.
Yeah.
And I just like hit the like this much asphalt and just like went flying in my board. I have like a scar on my ankle still from that. So that puppy right there. That's my first week.
The
on a
transition
Onewheel.
of surfaces was one of the biggest things that doesn't necessarily come natural if you go from like grass to concrete, because sometimes it'll be just the smallest little that you're not ready for, and you're just going on at the consistent speed instead of trying to transition. But
I will say, I thought that mine was you mentioned exercise earlier, and I thought that getting it was going to be exercise for me, the way like skateboarding was, and it's just like absolutely not until you get onto a
Until
trail.
you're on trails.
And you're like, holy shit, I am dog tired. I have to walk this thing back. Like, it only lasted 6 miles, and you're like dragging that thing back. Like, it's awesome. Trail riding is so awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. Trail riding is sick. So, like you've got these extra products that you've started to like introduce into the Badger name now, right?
Yeah.
Next up in line, so you're starting off with Badgerwheel, and that's starting to kind of make a name for itself, selling kits, right, for people to go through. Which I have a community question, which was, what's the biggest mistake people make when they DIY, like buy a DIY kit and try to badger their boards?
Ooh.
Or the one that you might get the most complaints about?
The most common one is getting silicone on the pins. My board won't turn on. The foot plate doesn't engage. But I've seen some very creative mistakes.
Okay. Care to share?
Leave it to people.
How did you destroy your whole battery harness? What did you do?
So it's mainly in the actual disassembly that they.
I would say
up.
the worst mistakes happen in the disassembly.
I got you.
Where people are like,
you
the
don't
motor
just yank
cable
on it
is
to get
actually
out? Yeah.
clipped on.
Yeah. I thought you just
to
pulled
the
really
hub, and
hard.
I kept trying to pull my wheel off, and it's like, oh boy. Oh.
It's like in Iron Man when he's like pulling all the wires. He's like, hope this doesn't matter. Like, and he's ripping all the wires out of him. Same concept.
Well, because some of the things like you kind of have to pull on it to get it
a
apart,
little bit
and then
of
some
you
things you really shouldn't. So.
Well, I think the first time I pulled mine apart, the white pins confused me a little bit.
Oh, I broke those instantly.
Yeah, like they were not wanting to come out, and I was like, I don't understand what this is. So, so that's that's definitely a big thing that people do is for the silicone pins. So if you're gonna buy a kit from him, badger it. Make sure you don't get silicone on the pins. Right. All right.
Yep.
Huge.
You do badger people's boards though, right? Like if they send them to you, are you just only
Yeah,
sell
I
kits?
technically do provide that service, although it's out of stock right now because I hate doing it.
But the
I
SLS,
hate it.
I mean,
I
all the
hate it
SLS,
so much.
Yeah. Derek
much
does a
all
great
the-
job.
yeah.
So
And Derek does it now.
and he's
so
in Cleveland. So
Yeah.
it's fine.
Yeah.
Actually, funny story. My very first badger job that I did for somebody. This is before I figured out what materials to use. So I had already tried this awesome water-based sealant on my own board, and it worked great because it flowed into the little cracks.
Sure.
Because it's
Water-based?
water-based. Yeah. Well, anyway, so this team came up. The Peters came up from Columbus with some people, and anyway, I ended up destroying this guy's controller because the water-based sealant went. He had like the perfect little gap, and it went right onto his MOSFETs. Oh. And so that was a fun start.
expensive mistake.
I was like, I don't know what happened, and I found out when I took it apart what had happened. But that was one of those moments where I kind of thought, maybe.
Good thing
Maybe
I
I
have
shouldn't-
insurance.
Maybe I shouldn't be in this business, maybe I don't know what I'm doing. And I didn't, obviously.
Did you salvage that controller?
No,
Was it
totally
it's
fried.
It's fried. Okay.
Completely fried.
no salvageable parts whatsoever.
But it was upside down during that,
Okay.
which is the thing. So if it turns upside down, water can boom right under the worst possible part.
Mm-hmm.
Which is what I did.
So
Not
how-
a great start. Not a great start.
How well engineered do you think that the XR is for general water use? Because they do have some rainy scenes in their advertisements.
Yeah. Well, it's not great, but it's also their first iteration.
Sure.
And you can see where you kind of have to do some engineering trade-offs between, how compact is it versus how reliably can you assemble it versus, using off-the-shelf connectors that you can readily get. That's something you want to do on your first iteration instead of going to a custom. It's just one less thing to worry about. It's already tried and true automotive connector. Let's just use it. It's a little bit too bulky. Doesn't matter. We'll make it work. So, they did a great job, and
Seems like the pint has a little bit better
Yeah.
waterproofing naturally.
Right.
Would you agree?
it definitely does. Mine, it didn't. But so the difference is, I think the XR, putting it together perfectly waterproof is almost impossible. Whereas the pint, it's pretty reliable. So it's a good design. If you put it together properly, it'll be totally sealed. Just a lot of them aren't. So
Gotcha. All right.
yeah, they definitely fixed their.
So you had a pint
Design.
ruin. Did you have a pint go down? You said yours wasn't?
No,
How'd you-
but I got one. The first thing I did was check to see if it was sealed up properly.
Okay.
And it wasn't. The gasket was
gotcha.
pinched a little bit, so there was a little bit of a leak.
Which I can't imagine how hard that would be. Like, okay, let's say Future Motion was going to declare their board waterproof to some extent, and that'd have to be probably an IP rating.
You get an IP rating, yeah.
Yeah, they'd have to get an IP rating of some sort. But then like that assembly process, how much more inspection time would have to be into it?
I mean, it's not crazy. I've done, you know, for work, I've done, you know, IP rated stuff, and you do a few test units, you know, to make sure that it's working, a couple more inspection protocols or whatnot. But
just dunk it in water a few times and
yeah,
perfect, set to go.
Yeah.
Well, so before that, I want to get into, I was going to lead into like what were the next products that you had introduced into Badger, but like obviously you had some inclination to maybe take some things apart. What did you like? What's your job career? Like, what did you do before doing Badger?
Oh yeah, so I've been in product design for like my professional career.
Okay.
So Badgerwheel was kind of like a side thing at first.
So you still have a day job now?
No, I've been doing this full time for a little over a year now.
Gotcha.
Nice.
Awesome.
So it was just too much. So busy. So
Gotcha. Okay. So some of that knowledge kind of helped translate over to like how you started building some of those.
Oh, totally. Yeah. So I've been in consumer product design for, 7 years before this, in the engineering side. So
Gotcha. Very cool. So then we're back into the point where we've got Badgerwheel kind of we're maybe selling some kits, right? Build a website, did something, selling some kits to some people. What, like when did you decide you were going to start making extra products? What was that next product that you put into the Badger line?
Yeah. So I don't even really remember. Probably the power board plug and some other little things. Mostly it's just, things that I wanted for my own board.
Gotcha.
That's my guiding principle. If I need it, I'm going to make it. Otherwise, I won't.
Right.
So pretty much everything on my site is something that I wanted. And so I made it for myself.
Okay.
And for everyone else.
Yeah. And then some of those things seem like more like waterproofing components or whatever. Like you have bumpers too, right?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, everyone knows how terrible the stock bumpers are. So it didn't take too many broken bumpers before I started thinking about like, okay, I should probably make some of these.
Gotcha. Any hard competition with this guy over here?
Zero.
That's awesome.
Tons of sharing, tons of.
There was a period where I was where we were riding together, and I had my prototype bumpers on there, and I didn't know that they were working on bumpers at the same time. So I was like, "Dude, check this out! I'm working on some bumpers."
I was like, "Oh, interesting."
And looking back, it was so suspicious. But at the time, I didn't realize, or it was just like, "Yeah,
No, tell me about the inside.
Tell me more.
Yeah, what's it?
So why'd you make this pattern right here? Like,
what composite are you using?
Exactly. So no, it worked out great though.
That's awesome. All right. So then you got like butter bumpers and everything. And correct me if I'm wrong. So the next biggest product that you guys have is the one we're going to talk a little bit about today, which is BadgerSense.
Yes.
All right.
Is this what you had on your board?
I'm the most excited about this.
What?
Is this what you had on your board?
Yep.
Or
Yep.
got it.
So
Gotcha. So I'm
currently on the subscription base. It only it turns on 100 times before it gives you like a big red light, and then it flashes like "Return to Badger."
Well,
So,
there you go. Just break the board and make us add $23.95 a month. And
without that, he wouldn't visit.
Board.
Yeah.
Yeah, now you can sign up for Badger subscription.
you sabotage it on purpose just to be friends with him.
That's right.
You tell everybody this is my best friend Ori.
Yeah. He texted me like, "Hey, bud, you want to hang out?" And I'm like, "Yeah, let me guess."
Let me get a new one for you.
Let me
just get
guess.
something off the shelf for you. Dude, it looked, I have to say, when I saw it on your board, it looked sweet. It's like, and I like the, I don't know if we're going to show it on camera here or whatever, but I like the like Blade Runner-esque.
We absolutely can. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's why I brought the board there.
Yeah, so we got some live stuff in here. Before I get to this right here, too, like what for anyone listening who hasn't heard of Badgerwheel, they're going to start looking this up. What is BadgerSense?
So primarily, it's a nosedive warning system.
Okay,
is what I would say. It's a power gauge. Everyone complains. Came out of nowhere. I just, I was going 26 miles an hour, and the board just gave out.
Everyone's first nosedive story. It's like, oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, I had no idea I could do that.
Gotcha. So that came out, and so BadgerSense is going to be that kind of like visual warning system, right?
It's a visual warning system. Yes, there may be audio, other things, haptic.
Okay.
Down the line.
Do you think there will be like custom ringtones for audio?
Yeah,
I think you should say
I really
yes to that.
Get wet.
Honestly, well, that's going to be the first one.
But yeah, it's also I feel like it's kind of like a training tool as well, because you're kind of real time gauging how much power you're using, which does vary. It's not just how fast you're going. It's if you're on a hill, you might be using more or less power, and it kind of gives you a visual representation of what, you kind of start to associate, that when the board feels like that, that's what I'm, kind of how much I have left on some level. So I feel like it also is just kind of, because it's also, it'll be green, and you're like, oh, well, I'm going too slow. I have to go faster. and then it goes up and up and up, and then eventually you're in
Legally,
yellow.
No, that's not what it means.
No,
Yeah.
but if one were so inclined, because I do think that, because you can use it in a variety of ways. You can use it as a sort of safety device, or you can use it as training, where it's also kind of pushing you to showing you that's like, okay, here's how fast you're going. You have more to give. As long as you don't, because they still can come out of nowhere. It's like,
you can always run over something.
You can always run over something, and then there's
Those
really
squirrels,
no.
they just come out of nowhere.
Yeah. So
Almost
can you tell
every
your
bad nosedive.
Bentonville really quick deviation, your story of the raccoon?
Oh my!
Oh, the raccoon that came out of nowhere
On a one wheel.
Oh my God! This
The Badger
poor,
sense didn't alert you?
Oh, this poor trash panda.
Poor little guy.
I had his fur still on the front of my bumper after this incident, but Ori was right in front of me. He,
I'll tell.
Like a good person, he sacrificed himself. He veered off the trail.
I dove into the bushes
this
because
was
I
at
saw
night.
this sweet little trash panda run out in front of me.
Right in
I
the trail.
screamed and just dove off my board into the bushes.
He rode right off the trail, full speed.
Because the poor thing was confused. It was running back and forth, and I got off the trail, but Robert just screamed and
It was coming right at me.
just let
And
it.
the trail, it was a single track.
No deviation.
What am I supposed to do? I thought, okay, this is a game of chicken that I can't lose.
Right?
He's gonna, of course, dude. Look at how tiny he is. Well, no, he took it right in the face.
Yeah,
Now,
so I
he
look
did-
back and I see
he
it
did
just
dodge a
kind
little
of
bit.
bounce into
Like
the woods.
I didn't run him over.
No, he definitely
But
bounced.
clipped
he
him. You
caught
see-
it, the corner.
Yeah.
Well, no,
Just a
I
little
felt so
nick.
terrible.
Traumatic brain
so I
injury.
finally stopped. I stopped and I looked at my board and it was like there was no blood, but there was
A little tuft.
a little tuft at first. I can,
There's some raccoon out there with like a
Yeah.
yeah, if you
No,
see
we
a
were saying
raccoon
the
in
whole time we're
Bentonville,
like he's tracking him down. He's like, I will get you.
that's the last thing I do.
I had to go back and tell his kids.
Oh,
Let me
that's
tell
So
you
wait,
about
did you
the
fall
first
down?
time.
no, I kept
No,
going.
he just
pranged him.
he
No,
just
I wrote it
just
out. I
full
was like,
sent.
dude.
Full sent.
I'm going straight. There's nowhere to go.
Oh
Dude,
man,
that's awesome. I was gonna say it's
Anyway,
like
that's the deviation. That's
every like major nosedive that I've had except for one, I was going pretty slow and I was trying to take off from like a dead stop
Mhm.
to get out through some traffic or something.
Yeah.
So this will flash red or something like, "Hey, idiot!" It's like chill.
And
out.
there is sort of there's sort of a limit to where like how quickly, like if you just punch the nose down, you're gonna go down. It's like that's
sure.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't predict
yeah.
the unpredictable.
Yeah.
So
All right.
your sudden actions are going to be on
Yeah.
you.
yeah. Let's walk through some of the parts here real quick. Like what's happening to some people's boards? Like what's kind of what's the layout here? What do we got?
Yeah, so we have a board actually there
Okay,
that we should probably maybe set up. So
let's definitely do it. Let's just clear off the mini unlimited power boards and throw it up on the table.
put that side
drop
forward
those.
probably.
Huh?
I dropped
Oh,
those, so watch out. It might.
Oh. That's why I always give him the little flick,
There might be some effervescence.
like a little effervescence in my truth.
Okay, so there's the power gauge.
Bring us up here.
There we go. Okay, power gauge. Let's see if we can do a quick demo here. There we go. Oh, it's in pairing mode. Oh, hold on.
Dun dun dun.
There we go. All right,
Alright.
so when it starts out, this is your battery gauge, right?
Okay.
So we're at about 45%
got like a half-
or something
okay.
there.
So that gives you a battery gauge too, which is really cool.
So you definitely want to know that. And it works for CBXR, anything like that. Then here you can see the, well, it's kind of hard to get it halfway in between. But you can see how it starts green and then
Yeah.
it kind of goes all the way to red.
I got you. So especially when you're starting out, you got some weight on it behind it, and like that motor's not going from
Yeah.
nothing to full power. From that point on, that you will kind of see it like starting to raise up and move across.
It kind of builds up, and so you can sort of see where you're at. You can glance down. Since I like to ride trails, I don't like to look away from the trail.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that's why we have the heads-up display.
Okay.
So this can power on. Now this is synced up to the board.
Okay.
So it's going to display your board battery status here, which is about 50%.
Okay.
And then once you start going, hurry, that real fast.
I'll hold it opposite.
There you go. So it's going to go from red. Red is like you're about to nosedive, and it should be green. Well, it's sort of hard to see, but green, yellow, and then red.
Gotcha. Right. So green, yellow, and red basically are stoplight without.
Yeah. So I would say like a new rider, green is like, okay, you're starting to get to like about the 80% power mark.
Okay.
And you should just stay in the green.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Right.
The way I like to ride is green is like you could be going a little faster there, dude. And then yellow is kind of the sweet spot.
Okay.
And it's actually really hard to stay in yellow. So a lot of the comments I've gotten from this are, oh, learn the board, just get better. This is like for newbies or whatever. Get out there, try to keep it in yellow the whole time.
Yeah.
And never drop into green. You'll be surprised, even if you're a very fast rider, how often you think you're going fast, but no, you actually could be going a little bit more.
Okay.
Dude.
So
that's the whole training thing.
It really
that I was
sounds
talking
cool,
about. It's
especially
like,
for
oh.
like racers, right? So
Yeah.
these guys who are really trying to like find that spot. So how does it compare?
Which is me.
Okay,
Again,
right.
I make a product for me, and I was always like a 20 mile an hour max rider.
Okay.
I heard of people like, oh yeah, I cruise at 24. I'm like, dude, that's way past pushback. I have no idea, and I do not want to fall.
But you said you didn't
pretty
come from.
fast,
This is actually, I have the same question here. It came from Nico, but he had said, some people don't know how hard you send it on a board, which I feel like is a really good segue at this point. Did you have any other extreme sports or activities that you grew up doing? And if so, what do you think translated it to your approach to one wheeling? Like why?
Yeah, no, I didn't do my other sports were really like I did a little bit of free running, parkour type stuff, and rock climbing. So I guess I have some agility, whatever.
Yeah,
that translated.
But
maybe.
what in your brain decides to say like
He has that deep hunger. He has
Okay.
the call of the void within him. He has the deep urge for that edge of. I mean, I saw it.
Like that new sticker, the call of the void.
the call of the void?
Yeah,
no, seriously, the call of the void is real, and
Yeah.
and where it happens is going off the edge of a tabletop, where you have to
So it's where
you lean forward and you just trust that the ground is gonna like keep
and
up with you.
and if you see any pictures of him like racing, like anything, it's always like wings out. He's just like he is full, just like here I
I don't
go.
even realize I'm doing
Here
it.
I
It's just
go.
like
I'm
that's my
ready.
natural pose.
It's beautiful. It
Prepared
truly-
for the
Believe I can
void, like
fly.
prepared to meet the whatever is next.
Whatever's next.
So that the feeling is they call it the call of the void when you're standing on like a high point and you feel that small urge of like
To just
it's
go.
kind of like oh I just want to kind of go
Yeah.
like you're not actually gonna do it, but it's like it is that sort of like
Dude, I've
one
never-
to like to get out there and you kind of get little bits of that while one wheeling going,
Yeah.
especially really because you're riding a very thin line of being on the edge of eating complete shit
You're
Yeah.
never safe.
yeah.
But you're extra not safe.
And when you're
going
and when
above
you're
20
on
miles
that
an hour.
line, you're like, let's go. It's that
It's
extra
probable
dopamine boost.
that
Yeah,
spot.
it's probable
I
that
mean,
you
go.
when I was
I've
18,
never-
like first time I got on a motorcycle, like, and I took like, I'm like, all right, let's see what this thing can do. And you
Exactly.
get up, and that wheel starts doing this thing or whatever. And you're like, I could get 3 more miles an
Yeah.
hour out of it. I could just a little more here.
I've never heard that phrase, the call of the void, but
I like it.
it totally makes
It's
sense.
real, dude.
Yeah,
It's very real.
I'm
very
being-
real.
Wait, did you get it?
Oh yeah.
Oh
Did
yeah.
you get it?
Oh, for sure. That's what 18
Yeah,
years
yeah.
old, like
Okay,
108
because-
miles an hour on this Suzuki, like
No,
I
but
don't
the
know.
cliff thing.
Yeah, even if I get to a cliff, it doesn't matter. Like there's
I don't go near cliffs.
So I know like a
Because of
bunch
the
of
call
people.
of the void. When you get to the edge, you're like, you feel it.
I
You
get
feel
weak
it.
in the knees because apparently my subconscious is like jump.
Mhm.
Fucking jump.
So I know people that
But you
don't
won't-
don't identify with this at all. They're like, "What do you mean an urge to jump?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's
how many one wheelers have the call of the void? We need to know.
There's a
actually
certain
it's
amount.
probably a high proportion." I bet it is.
But it is.
I think there's a certain amount of like, I have kids now. You know, I
Sure,
have things
sure.
that matter that I can't.
Well, that's what keeps
it's
you.
like-
That's what keeps you away from it.
I feel
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
but I've always like had trouble with heights,
Mhm.
but only after a certain point. So it's like, did I jump off my house thousands of times when I was a kid? Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
there's a threshold.
yeah, like but like after like when you're like like climbing a mountain, like in that thing. I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
I'm good. I'll chill here. But
there's a certain level where it's like diminishing returns. It's like, okay, I can like play around on this ledge, but then at a certain level, you're like, well, it's how much am I gaining by getting 2 feet closer?
I think like as far as like skateboarding and stuff, where you're like, yeah, fuck it, jump off. Like, let's see what we can, like that. But when you get to that point where you're like, this is really scary. This is a big set of stairs. I'm gonna do this.
Yeah, it's that mix of fear and also wanting to do it. It's like it's like that real.
I'm gonna do this.
Yeah,
and then you're like in a body cast, and you're like, I almost did it.
I'm gonna make a sticker. It's gonna look like a little call, like like a duck call or something. It's gonna call the void. I'm gonna make like just like a long empty pit or something. That'll be
instead
the
of the
sticker.
duck, make it a badger.
The badger, perfect. Yeah. I've got 3 collaborations moving on.
Now, do you have a trademark badger we could use for free, or
or you can help with that?
I got you. I got.
Or
all
he's gonna serve all of our art needs in the
files.
Send me the PNGs. All right.
Yeah.
So at this point, like so we got this thing. You've got the call of the void, right? And we're gonna start pulling this board in. I have a question about it. Like, what's that comparison to pushback? Like, where are these lights going off versus like when are you getting pushback?
Yeah. So usually when I'm riding, not too terribly aggressively, like on concrete, 17 miles an hour is kind of about where it's going to kick in. That's going to be like the all green range. So you're still like totally safe.
So you're still going to, I mean, and this is what's cool about it. I think for people learn the limits of your board, blah, blah, blah. Like this is what's cool. A board that is going to give you pushback, but you're not you're going to, I'm going to respect the limits of that board. No, you're not actually like, you're not really seeing where this could go because you could be in pushback when the lights are pure green.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So go ahead and continue.
Yeah. So, definitely for people who are beginners, this is going to be, it's great for people of all skill levels. Probably no. So the person who shouldn't get this, is somebody who just wants to cruise around town.
Yeah.
And they're a cautious person.
Yeah.
There's no need for this.
Yeah. The first thing went on my mind, like I have nosedived so hard off that 3 times because I didn't even know what pushback was. I just got on the board and started riding it.
Right.
And like, I'm like, oh, this is weird. Like board's doing something. And I'm just trying to go as fast as I can through it. Next thing I know, board's cutting out and I'm in the middle of 1302.
Exactly.
Ready to be hit by a semi.
Yeah. Well, I learned the board. The traditional one.
The old-fashioned way?
Yeah, you just keep falling on your face over and over, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Honestly, especially if you have a camera, because it's priceless.
My man's nosedives he's talking about are 50% of them are on camera.
Yeah, right.
Dude, it makes it completely worth it.
Absolutely,
right.
yeah.
Completely worth it.
You got the footage, man, you go viral.
So I would say either get a 360 camera while you're, learning the board.
Oh, and
or get one of these
to pay for the repair of that 360 camera without each.
Yeah,
definitely get the replacement plan.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep. Or
get a BadgerSense.
Dude,
either way.
I think I said this. I don't know, a few episodes ago, back when we were young. But I think one of the things that I love the most about the XR, especially in comparison to the GT, is how I said Blade Runner earlier, but like it's like that lived-in tech. Like all the movies, the sci-fi movies that feel the most real are the ones that look like, I can.
There's been a person manning that station for 30 years.
And that's an automotive harness. I know what that is. Like I know what that wire harness is because I've seen it on when I pop the hood of my, so it has like a homebrew kind of feel to it. And like this lights, I like LEDs and stuff. Like I just never.
Oh yeah, it just
works really well with the look of the board of the XR.
And it's just I think it lends itself, especially the like, I don't know the term for it, but where there's like individual LEDs and you can see each like rectangle.
Right.
Like it's so much cooler than just like a smooth. In my opinion.
Yes, I agree.
I actually changed it. I actually made like the windows a little bit smaller so that it was a little bit more of a pronounced like a digital.
I really really like it because it has that like 1980s future tech vibe.
Yeah.
And I mean, in no way is that a slam. I love that look. And so I want one of these things really, really bad.
It's hardcore.
When I saw him riding one, I was like,
trail riding, like especially when we get out to Travis's and like we're moving through some of those things. This would be so nice for somebody who's like, and that new bowl system he's developing, you're just gonna want to really push it. So and like that'll come into like again like Nico's question, like for beginners and experienced riders. Like, all right, let's talk to the experienced riders for a minute. Like, why do they want this?
Yeah. So I would consider myself an experienced rider, and I wanted it because I wanted to just go a little bit more. You know, like I rode with people who are better than me, and it's like I can't catch them. Why not? Because I'm a little bit timid. You know, it just feels like this is gonna give out any second now. I don't want to push it. So having that visual confirmation, like, no, you're good. You got a little bit more. Has helped me to go just a lot faster. So,
that's what I said. It is like, I mean, it's totally, you know, it feels like a small little Robert, like sitting on my shoulder being like, go faster, go faster, go faster, go faster.
And then the other one on the other side.
Yeah. So really, like for beginners, like you want to be looking out for the yellow and red. And for the advanced riders, you want to be looking out for green. Don't ever be in green.
That's what to avoid, because that's.
I have one question. The peripheral on the headlamp kind of thing, is that meant to be worn on your head, or is that a wrist mounted?
Oh, okay, yeah. So check it out. Okay, so this is in sleep mode right now.
Okay.
And then if you're at a bar charging or something,
sure,
this'll stay asleep for a long time. And then you can just check your board battery to see how charged you are.
See how many more pints you
see when it's ready to go.
That's sick.
So this is the strap. There's also a GoPro mount that you can put on here.
Cool.
In case you have a full face.
Okay.
So the strap doesn't work on that.
So how does it sits on your
helmet?
On your helmet.
Yeah, so a lot of people have a GoPro mount right there.
But there's also the wrist strap. So somebody might want to have it right there.
Oh yeah.
So I would put it here on my lead arm. So it's always just, right there. So this one is also paired. So you can pair multiple HUDs to the same board if you want.
Can we just get a clock on that? I'll just fucking wear it as a watch.
That's the next big feature that's coming is
and it's one of those like rollover ones that has like the like
yeah
dude, that's so cool.
No, it's gonna be a line display.
Oh, perfect.
From 0 to 24 hours. That's it.
Awesome. You have to guess where it's at.
This
is harder than reading military time. Damn.
So is this light, when you're wearing it on your helmet, is it meant to shine at you?
Yeah, it shines right in your peripheral vision, right on your.
Okay. And he's got adjustable brightness.
I was gonna say, so if you're in the pitch black riding, how?
Oh yeah. So great question. So it's really obnoxious, which is why we have a forward-facing and a rear-facing light sensor.
Okay.
So this will dynamically adjust the brightness. I don't know if you can see it, but there. See, it's dimmer.
Oh yeah.
Gotcha.
And now it gets brighter. So when you're in broad daylight, it's like full brightness.
Yeah.
At night, you don't want to get blinded, so it dims down.
Sure.
And then on top of that automatic adjustment, you also have you can cycle through different brightness settings.
Gotcha.
That'll be like, it still adapts to the ambient lighting, but it's just like depending. So if you mount it so it's like right near your eyes, like maybe you want it a little dimmer, or if it's like a little
sure.
So definitely being too bright is going to be like just a non-starter.
Yeah, it's like when I get in my Dodge,
so you got to have it adjustable.
Or something, and that it's like bright all the way out in your face.
I love this thing.
This is gnarly.
Yeah.
So all right, so I'm gonna pull this in. This is a question that comes right in with it, and Nico asked this as well, and that's how many nosedives did it take to like really develop this thing?
Yeah, well, so I've done plenty of my own nosedives. Before
I also
had
did a few
this
for science.
Yeah, so I sent you that video.
Yeah.
So I think Ori's the only person who explicitly I was like, dude, just ride this thing until you nosedive. Like,
please just
go all the way to the end.
Wrist guards.
So when I was testing it, I never got all the way to the point of actually falling because it was too fast. Like, I don't want to fall at 23 miles an hour on a trail for science. It's just not quite
Bubble wrap suit.
Yeah.
So I brought Ori in, and
because everyone knows
he did it without any pads.
Ori's the test dummy. Right
I am
here.
excellent at eating shit. If nothing else, like I was never the best skateboarder, but I could slam pretty well. You're like, oh, you're okay. This is wonderful. We thought you were dead.
You're just one of those Jello people, just like get right back up.
Sometimes
he did actually. He got right back.
Sometimes. But yeah, that was a totally decent one.
It was pretty good. We got a nice video. The gauge goes all the way to red.
Is this the video you sent me?
Just as he's eating shit. Yeah.
Okay. This was the video you sent me. Okay. I don't know if we can play it or not. We probably don't have it in the media pool. But right here, I'm gonna play that video. And And we're back.
And we're back.
Holy cow.
That was
Here.
crazy.
Awesome
Wow,
video, guys.
Dude, I saw how it went to red right before it crashed, right? Is that the video?
All right.
Yeah.
And now just for the fun of the show, right, I'm going to pull this video up and here. Ready, Christian?
Oh, perfect.
I'm ready.
All right.
Nice.
Those steps off
That's
the
a
front
real
could have
reaction.
gone way worse.
Yeah.
Slammed right in my
So
ankles.
you full go, right?
Such a good friend.
So how accurate was it? Was it right where you were thinking it was going to happen?
Yep.
How long were you red for? Like in that?
I mean, it was down.
That
It was
like
like
a half a second.
yeah. I mean, it went red, but I mean, I was trying to.
It was
push
like accelerating
because,
right
up
Yeah,
to
it.
I was absolutely trying to push it down to.
So it's like a red, you're dead situation? Or is it like...
Red, you're dead.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, there's really not much time to, but it's made for when you're just
Is
like
it-
full out hauling, going as fast as you can, and it's like at that point, if you're even touching red, it's like okay, that is the absolute limit that I can.
So I've been at that point, right, where the motor cut out before, and I've just kind of on my pint, not on my XR, I haven't got that point yet, but on the pint, I've been there, and I can if I'm at the right place, I can ride it out for a second and it'll come back.
Yep.
Is
we've been there.
Yes.
Yeah. So you know what I'm talking about? That point where it's
Yeah.
like motor gives out, it's
Somehow
you've
you
gone
didn't
past.
fall.
Your
But it
heart
comes back
skips a
in.
couple beats.
Yeah. You balancing it out, it goes through. So is that basically like you where we could come into a training tool, right? Is like, okay, we're at that point. Can you either shift your weight to like ride this out for a second and then get back into it? Or
And there's, I mean, I think I mentioned last podcast where during Race to the Rail, there were a few riders that, hit 30, and I saw the nosedives, and it was, I've seen these people pull up from nosedives before, but it was just like,
so much.
nose
yeah.
does not come up.
Well, I mean,
it's like
30
there's
miles
no,
an hour. 30 miles an hour.
you have all that momentum pushing you
Yeah.
forward, and the board is just like,
the only
you're on your own
possible
here.
way would be like if you're like
yeah.
just straight surfer lean, like all
So
the way
is it-
back.
Is it realistic to expect any amount of riding it out if that thing turns red?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's especially okay. It's possible.
Depends if you're in dirt, if you're on asphalt. Dirt, probably not. You're probably going.
Well,
And I guess
it-
I don't mean nosediving. I mean, like, I can ride out a nosedive every now. I've survived nosedives.
yeah.
But I mean, is there a reality in which you're looking down, you're like, oh, fuck, it's red. I need to slow down.
So you're probably staring.
So,
the
like,
fuck
red-
out of that
It's
thing.
going to be too late at that point.
Yeah. Okay. So yellow is like where you want to be if you want to go fast as hell.
Yes.
And then if you see red, it's the last thing you
Which
see.
makes
before
sense
you-
because I mean, like,
So
if
I was just
pushback's
testing it
happening
in
green-
the parking garage. We did a little ride. Not many places to ride this time of year around here,
Right.
but we found a garage. I did manage to get a hint of red on the HUD, and
Okay.
it was just as I was.
just before you nosedive,
Well, I was kind of doing like the
drag or
the
whatever.
drags.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
So for people who are less experienced but want to push through the pushback kind of thing, yellow is fairly dangerous.
where you want to be.
It's
going
like
or shooting
amazing.
for.
It's
Yeah.
perfect,
Mhm.
but it's fairly dangerous because there's not a lot of warning between yellow and red.
You're going to be doing probably 23 miles an hour.
It's
before
also
you hit.
being very conscious of at that point. You need like your knees need to be like actively
Prepared,
engaged
yeah.
because
Assume the position.
that's when
Yeah.
you're gonna. That's really the only reason you nosedive at high speeds is when a bump hits and you're too locked up and the board just can't.
Right.
You have to be able to absorb every single little thing that happens at that point. Like when
You
you're in
become the
yellow.
shocks.
Yeah, you are. You must become the shocks in yellow.
So how fast are you going? Sorry to keep going back on this, but this is like you've just become my hero. But
Isn't he everyone's?
my best friend Robert?
Dwayne got kicked the fuck out.
No, we're still best friends too. But so how fast? What's the speed when yellow engages? 20 miles an hour, or is it like 17?
Well, so it really depends. I was hitting yellow on grass the other day
oh, just because
when we were heading out to that stump.
Because
you're
power
maxing out the
more of a
battery.
load.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
power based.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And actually, you probably notice this if you're going up a hill when you're not going that fast, but you can feel the board give out.
Yeah.
And if you just kind of crouch down a little bit, just take a little bit of weight off the board, since it's not going that fast, with the weight removed, it can easily recover.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're already going 30 miles an hour,
Sure.
like when you free spin the board with just holding it, that's 30 miles an hour with
Okay.
literally zero load.
Any load at that point.
Yes?
Well, you guys keep asking about speed, and it does measure speed too. That's a separate function you should tell them about.
Oh yeah. So it also actually
Thank you, Mandy.
we can thank
Mandy's back here.
Mandy
She's
Thompson
coming
in
on
the
the
house.
show, by the way.
Yeah.
Yes,
Not,
exactly. We got the peace side coming up. She's coming on the show. And,
One Woman, One Wheel.
One woman, one wheel. I've posted. I think I posted some bales from you on the Pushback page.
Were you crocheting?
I can't remember.
I love that about you.
We need a camera swing at this point, too.
Mandy's back here in the corner, and for people who don't realize how small my studio is, it's like we're real hugged in.
It's
this
cozy.
is living room conversations right here.
I love that about
Yeah,
the
Pushback.
fireside chats.
Yeah.
Fireside chats. I have a fire going back here. It's all
There we
good.
go.
Very cozy.
So yeah, like back. We
Wait,
talk about the speed,
function.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah. So actually, we can thank Ori for that because I gave him actually one of my first prototype units or whatever, and he was like, "Well, this is really great, but what about speed? Can it show speed too?" And I was like, "God,
Damn
these
it.
people want
Fine.
everything."
Yeah, this
Fine.
is what Travis was talking about because he installed that cool little speedometer.
Yeah,
that he got.
Travis actually did an awesome job with like very very little to just like bought one of those speedometers. I mean, it's a pretty simple concept. You know, you basically have a small magnet that every time the wheel rotates, it is calculating it, and you can input different, what wheel widths and things like that to get an accurate speed. So pretty cool DIY, honestly. But
Yeah.
the fact that it's all wrapped up is obviously
Exactly.
what you want. So how is yours measuring speed?
Well, when you first suggested it, I was like, "Yeah, I don't think I can do that." So basically, what it's measuring is it's a digital motor. So the signal to the motor is actually a digital signal.
Okay.
So that means that if you have a digital microcontroller, you can tap into that and measure exactly what's happening.
Gotcha. Okay.
And by measuring the pattern of what's happening, you can figure out the speed.
When you say tap
I
into
see.
it, we never refer to Peter Onewheel as the right name. Do you
Clevin?
Clevin? We'll call him Clevin for this show.
Clevin Motion?
Papa FM, Cleva Motion.
Frank Motion?
Yeah,
Peter Motion.
Peter
Peter
Motion.
Motion?
Yeah, that's right.
That's what it was.
Do you have
I don't know what that was supposed to be, but
the explosion?
I feel excited.
This is where Papa FM never comes on our show, which I'm fine with.
I think he's
Do you
probably
have?
cool.
Is there any modification? Is there any problem? Like,
Oh,
What?
yeah.
Does it void the warranty?
I don't know if I brought the power supply unit. Anyway, it's not in there. I forgot it. That's fine. Whatever.
Send me a
So
picture
people have been
afterwards, and I'll,
doing,
put a picture up right here of it.
yeah. So people have been doing the posi tap for VNR and aftermarket battery, whatever, tapping into the power lines for
Yeah.
a long time. Totally reliable, totally proven. So all you need to do is that plus one more that you put on one of the motor wires,
Gotcha. Okay.
and that's it. You don't have to open.
So it's relatively non-invasive. It's just
Totally
yeah,
non-invasive.
it's just-
Sure.
It all just installs right in the front there.
And as far as like
And
your like
that's
even
it.
going back to like badgering process, right? Like, have you ever you've probably been in this long enough that like if Peter FM was gonna send you any, have you had any rough encounters with Peter FM?
Specifically
no,
the legal team.
no, Peter and I had we've had a bit of a falling out, obviously, over the years. It's kind of a gradual distancing.
Who broke up with who first?
Oh,
You know,
definitely Peter. Definitely Peter.
I think I'm going to blame Peter. Because I feel like I made a really good effort on my part.
Okay.
But at some point you have to walk away.
It's true. It's true.
Toxic relationships, man. You just can't be involved.
Abuse isn't always physical.
No, it isn't. And it sometimes hurts.
It can leave a mark.
Yeah. In your soul. That's exactly right.
Anything that gets between you and the call of the void.
That's right. That's right.
And sometimes that's Papa FM.
Papa FM. So with BadgerSense coming out and everything too, like for those people who might still have their warranty, anything like that, is there anything? It's fairly non-invasive, right? Like for
Yeah,
somebody
you
who
can
still
take it
wanted-
off and you'd be hard pressed to detect that it was ever on there.
I got you. Okay. So pretty much almost impossible to say like on my controller breaks, blah, blah, blah. Like I need to send this back to Future Motion, still in warranty. Like could take it off, non-existent, never
Should
happened.
be fine. Yeah.
Gotcha. Cool. All right. I don't remember where I was going to go back after this, but
Wait, how does it
Let's
tell
go.
you the
I mean,
speed?
so
Is there a digital readout, a number?
What?
When it tells you the speed.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, speed. That's right. There where we were.
Sorry.
So there's different colors for like battery, or then there's the green and red. There's a white. One of the LEDs will be white, and that's your speed. it starts at 6 miles an hour at the rear, and each LED is 1 mile per hour up to 30.
So it's an alternate mode using the same LEDs? Like
It's
using
the same LEDs
strip?
at the same time. So you'll just look down, you'll see the gauge.
So
it's
like
just
the
that
top
one
side is
light.
what?
So
will
it'll
be
turn
white.
green, but that white light will still keep going up.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
So the white light moves up and down
Yeah.
while the colors are moving up and down separately.
Gotcha. So two rows of LEDs.
So what I would suggest is, pick a speed that maybe is important to you.
Mm-hmm.
Of like, oh, I don't want to go faster than 20. Well, so maybe just like put a little white,
Sure.
or just see where it is on the board, so that so you can glance down and just quickly see where you're at.
I would love to comfortably ride at 20 miles an hour without
It'd be solid.
This product could be for you.
Yeah. What's
Where can I get it?
Yeah, where
Is it available for sale yet, or are you still prototyping?
No, it is. It is available.
Get wet.
One of the things we've been working on is optimizing the assembly and manufacturing process so that
Sure.
we can get the cost down.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is the
'cause-
cost? Is
what is
fairly
it
high
current
right
pricing?
now, right?
Well, people say that it's high, but like, have you seen
What a one wheel costs?
the JW FFM chip? For example,
Mm-hmm.
I've
It's
not seen it.
$250.
it's $250 for just a bare circuit board and a couple wires. Okay. Now
Okay.
let me tell you something. It is 100% worth it
Yeah.
because it
For
gives
sure.
it unlocks
Sure.
additional capacity.
Yeah.
Okay. This unlocks additional information.
I'm
So-
not scared of a high price.
Yeah.
I may not have any money, but I do like to spend the money I don't have on things.
Right.
that
It's like, I don't
are
have
worth it
that
to
money,
me.
so the
Yeah.
price doesn't scare me. Right.
Yeah. I spend money without looking at my bank account.
I love
Just
you.
make sure you enable Klarna,
Listen.
and then his wife can
Yeah.
buy it.
My wife I had to use my wife's, the joke there is I had to use my wife's credit to get my one wheel. She
That's
technically
commitment.
owns my
That's
one wheel.
commitment.
Yeah. So have we mentioned that the HUD can actually pair to multiple boards? So I would highly recommend you get one for each board that you have.
Oh, hi. I didn't see you there. This is
Hi.
Robert from Badger. Coming at you live from the studio. Dude. So what's
So
the price
pairs
right
of
now?
multiple. Yeah, what's
So the price right now is, I think it's $400 for the base unit, and then the HUD is like $250 or something.
Gotcha. Okay.
I don't even remember.
Yeah.
When I do the price, I just
All I
make
hear is
something up.
worth it, worth it, worth it.
Make
Yeah, it
really
worth
is.
it, worth
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
worth it. If you want, you can make up a
I mean,
pushback exclusive discount for all the listeners. I'm not listing it anywhere.
It comes with a
Yeah,
free
we
package.
absolutely
Like,
do.
special
you have
package.
to be
push
listening.
through pushback is the
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to be listening right at this point.
You have to be
at
listening live right
40
now.
yeah.
Right now.
and have captions
41
turned on.
minutes
In this
and
room.
have captions turned on.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have Taylor make the caption wrong, so you have to
Yeah.
go back and listen to it to make sure that you get that the code is
get wet.
And it's only the code is only going to be live for the next hour.
in the
Yes.
next hour. So
East- that's-
sorry
and
everyone.
that's an American
the
hour?
episode
Yeah.
aired Friday. You missed out on Get Wet. So
Yeah, get web.
So Robert, what is your race philosophy? Because you've been a tech, you've been an engineer, but
Nobody
then,
briefed me on this question.
But then at
I'm not
some
prepared for
point,
this.
you became a very competent racer.
okay.
I don't know what happened. I just got faster and faster.
What happened?
First
Was it
race.
the
What
was it
was
the
it?
BadgerSense?
It wasn't BadgerSense. It was something else. Something
Um,
inside of you.
the call of the void.
Call of the void. Yeah. Wow. I'm trying to remember my first. You know what? My first race was at Float Lake Fest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
Which one?
which you actually did pretty well at, right? That
I
was
did pretty
your
well.
first well. Yeah,
Yeah.
your first.
I
well.
had- I
I
know
had a
that.
picture of.
There was
Picture of
a
it.
section of that course, one section that was mud. That's the section I nosedived right into.
What-
Right into it.
What fest is
Right,
this?
and then I
4,
rolled
3?
over.
Where are we?
Two,
Where are
right?
we
Two.
talking at? Two. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was the first one I was
Oh, that
Gotcha.
beautiful gravel.
at. Mm-hmm. That was when I first fell in love with gravel.
Yes.
Where was this at?
That was something we
I
really
don't-
connected on, was our love of
I'm
gravel.
still like I'm not hip. Where
Deerfield?
was
Asheville, North Carolina.
Deerfield.
Asheville, North.
Yeah,
Oh,
North
so this is
Carolina.
where Oak City
Outside.
Shred Fest is now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
I don't know it.
Yep.
I don't know if it's in Deerfield, but it is in Asheville.
Same the
Yeah,
same
yeah.
area. Okay.
Yeah, I always like running fast, and it was like, oh, well, there's a race, so I decided to do it, and it was like, oh, I'm pretty fast.
Yeah.
Cool.
Where'd you place in that race?
Oh, I don't remember, 8th or something.
Okay, so it wasn't like a first place win or anything like that.
I never get first.
But for
You
an
said
Ohio,
every
Actually,
race.
for
I have
Ohio
like
boys.
I have like performance anxiety, so I always like people ride with me, and they're like, dude, you're super fast, and then I race, and it's just like, oh, what happened to Robert?
Dude, I guess Robert's just a regular guy.
Yeah,
But see, that's no. I think this last race, I think in Thunderdome, I saw a lot of that dissipate. You were just like,
yeah, because of the CBD. Flow State,
yeah,
Flow State CBD.
yeah.
This
all right,
episode
shout
is
out
sponsored
to-
by Flow State CBD.
Thanks, Austin.
No, I'm not kidding. I did my first
Mm-hmm.
the first lap, and it was like, oh man, this is not good. And then Austin was like, dude, what's going on? we're going to be racing next. And I was like, oh no, I can't race Austin. He was like, dude, come on. I'll give you some CBD.
Put a couple of drops of this under your tongue and yeah.
So, I mean, that's how you know somebody's confident, where they're like, oh, I'm racing you here. Let me help you as much as I can.
I'm probably going to win anyway.
I'm going to beat you, but hopefully it won't be like embarrarsing for you.
No, at least you didn't know is he took the CBD. He gave you the THC. Oh. And it just backfired on him because somehow it still worked out.
Ride.
Yeah.
No, it really does work.
CBD?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It just chilled me. My nerves just like evaporated. And I was like...
Because that is a lot of... Yeah, I feel like a lot of racing is... A lot of it is knowing the line, like sticking to whatever line you go with, but also sometimes when you're racing, like, that was one of the big things I saw in Race for the Rails, that everyone was like, okay, this is the line I'm taking. I'm gonna dodge this rock here. I'm gonna dodge this valley here. But when you're racing, there's other people around. Yeah. You're going faster than you expect. There's all sorts of things that you have to be very present for, and not so like too locked into what you how the race is, you think, because sometimes someone's taking that line, you can't take that line, you have to take another line. And so I feel like a lot of one-wheel racing is being in that very present, like adaptable state.
Yeah, you got to be present, not
being
zooty,
loose,
because you know, like you freestyle and tricks, like sure you can get a little loose, a little zooty, like pull back, but if you're in a race, that's a little bit of it's a little more focus. It's got to be present.
But also, I think those like snap second decisions where it's like, yeah, it's like you have to be, because there's a difference between focused on what you knew that you were supposed to do and what's happening right now. It's like, yeah, because like you kind of have this plan for it's like, oh, I'm gonna do exactly this, and you can envision as much as you want. You know, visualization is very important, but in the end, you're going to be somewhere where you may not have expected yourself to be, and you have to be ready for that. But I don't know.
Yeah, it's really like muscle memory. And sure, if you're a little bit on edge, that doesn't work. So you got to just like relax, just trust that your body's going to adapt to the little bumps and everything else.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I just love going fast. So
there you go. Have you, for anyone who's like the race, for people who are doing races 2022 now, have you had any of the official racers say like you couldn't use this during a race, or is there anything that's been there?
It hasn't really been brought up.
Okay.
Yeah. Gotcha. It's definitely cheating.
As
the cheat code right here.
As fins are cheating.
Yeah.
It's all cheating.
It's all, yeah. It's fun, right?
Yeah,
cheating
exactly.
is fun.
Cheating and having fun.
Cheating and having fun.
Fly fins are totally cheating.
I know. Yeah,
every once in a while I have to ride a board without fins, and it's like, oh, I just fall off all the time. Like, I'm not really very good.
Yeah. I did that the other night, and I was like, our friend was out at Travis's shop, and I was like, dude, can I try your naked board? I want to try a nose slide. And it was so much more fun. No, I mean, I'll never take my fins off, but it's like more fun in the sense that like, holy shit, I just did something.
It's just different.
Yeah,
yeah.
The only thing I'll say that is easier so far without fins is when I was starting to do varials and like back and forth.
Yeah.
That extra room space, because especially with I'm
but that's what the mini fins are for.
5'4". Yeah, so I haven't tried it with the fins on yet. But last time when I was trying to do them, I'd step on them and then the fin would come. Fin would come down. But I'm 5'4" with a very short leg span. Like I stay pretty damn close to the fender, so I'm stepping on those like crazy. But yeah, I could see this being used. Now I'm curious too, like with the pint capabilities. But is it XR only?
It is XR only. I'm gonna work on a pint version, and of course a GT version whenever I get my GT. So
what's your date?
I don't even check anymore.
I gave up those people.
I saw a meme the other day. I was like, ew, I stepped in shit. And it was like the one wheel email that they got. You can look at the bottom of his shoe, like,
one wheel trash.
That's really funny. That's really funny.
I posted that one up. That was fun. But but yeah, the pine, I feel like it would be pretty, especially for beginners. 'Cause I feel like there's, I don't know if it's just an inclination or whatever, but I feel like a lot of beginner people getting into the sport just go for the pint. I don't know if it's the price or whatever.
Well, the pint, I feel also. Go ahead.
The pushback on the pint is so crazy that no one has ever like, oh, I missed pushback.
Yeah. It lets you know. You're like, nope, you're going too fast. Like, stop it.
Right.
And if you want to go past that, it's like you're making a very definitive choice to do so.
Yeah. I don't think anybody's really I mean, maybe not. Like, if I was going to go race it, I'd be XR all day. Like, I don't think there. Maybe
there's not a lot of people who are like, oh, I'm trying to go faster and faster in my pint.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there are. I don't know.
I mean, I was with my pint when I was trying to keep up with.
I was just going to say,
they
I think
all
the
XR
reason,
riders.
I think the only reason that somebody would be trying to max out a pint is to keep up with their XR friends.
Yeah, and like we were doing a group ride. I'm on my pint. I got the quart battery in and everything, and like I'm trying to keep up with these dudes, and like my board just keeps pushing and pushing, and they're kind of like they're getting in a smooth spot. They're starting to get way ahead, and I'm like, damn it, I'm falling so far behind here, but. I could see that being useful to be just treading in the yellow territory the entire time.
Which is how it feels for me to have a stock battery set up in mine now with all the rest of you with your excellent. I'm just like, I got to go charge up.
Even worse, Taylor, which we didn't mention. Taylor's back here again, not off camera today.
Hi, Taylor.
Yeah. Oh. There he is. All right. Taylor's back here. He's riding stock pint right still. And so we go on Travis's trail like 2 miles, 3 miles charge out of it or something. But
got the supercharger with me the whole time.
Yeah. Keep up.
Man, go ahead.
So yeah, we'll probably do a pint version, but we got to prioritize.
For sure. I mean, is that going to be basically your, like when the GT comes out? Like what's next for Badger? Like is that the next what's Badger for?
I suspect that the GT and the pint version will be very similar, just because they're probably a very similar build. And because they already have a battery gauge built in, that aspect of it is not needed anymore. So I'll probably just do a HUD only version for Pine and for GT. Probably install in the controller. So it'll be a little bit more invasive. It'll just be like one and done. Just get it in there.
Gotcha.
The Pine and probably the GT are going to have battery cables that are harder to tap into.
Sure.
So we'll probably just go straight inside the controller and be done with it.
Right on. So at that case, would you say like, is it still something you'd recommend DIY, or would you recommend like an SLS shop do that? Or
the Pint controller is really easy to get into.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, like the XR taking it apart is, it's like so terrifying every time that you're going to rip something.
I can't remember when I took apart. You need a special tool though to do the Pint, don't you?
Yeah, you can go to my website and pick up a Pint toolkit.
There we go.
It's got everything you need.
Get wet.
Get wet.
So it could be DIY, but we recommend, getting a professional.
Gotcha. Very cool. Well, dude, I can't tell you, I'm extremely stoked to, I'm definitely going to get one of these on one of my boards, since Travis and I are both double boarding it. The board I decide to go fast on will be the one that I'm going to put this on, because this is, it seems like a really cool training tool. I've never been like, I've never thought about doing races or anything, but this almost makes me think about like, oh, I actually have something I could like.
Even just for maxing out your own enjoyment, just like, it's like, oh, I can go fast. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I can just go faster.
Right.
And that kind of is pushing that, call of the void type scenario where, you're
faster's better.
Yeah,
faster's
again, like if you've
better.
nosedived a couple of times, like it will kind of scar you enough to be like, it's going to be a little bit before I try to push it that far again.
Yeah,
because you're not confident in yourself again, or you don't know what the board's going to do here.
I thought I knew my board, but apparently I missed something.
Yeah, it was used easy.
It was used easy.
So
also, I think it looks awesome.
Yeah, it looks killer.
So even when I'm riding in green, I'm
gonna get dual
You're gonna get some looks,
like
double takes.
I'll be like,
that would be good if so when you're riding in green, if it's like a light show, it's just like a nice.
Be like what are they called, the electrolytes, the lights that they swap out. Get them like synced up with that, and then it comes back and forth.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm open to a collab.
There you go. Electrolytes, hit them up.
I'm looking forward to the custom ringtones.
There you go.
I also want one that plays something hilarious after I've fallen.
So I really want to do an audio.
You suck.
That would be awesome.
Exactly, right there.
All right, here's your GT
after you nosedive, it just turns the volume all the way up, and it's just boo, boo, boo until you get your board back up
until
and
you
running.
put it right. Yeah, get it back up. Oh, that's good material.
That's good stuff.
That's another great thing we worked on was the Flying Badger tail rails. Great collaboration.
That was an awesome collab.
That was a lot of fun. We're still trying to figure out what Flying Badger actually is. It might be a race team. It might be a lifestyle brand.
Flying Badgers.
I don't know. We really don't know. But
you got the art, dude. Just wings and.
Well, I did the logo for the Flying Badger, which it's still kind. I would be okay with it being a race team or a combination of whatever, because that is kind of what we connect on is going fast and
what's
basically
now,
full sending.
Underwear
So
line, actually. That's
underwear line is
underwear
next
line,
because
perfect.
yeah, what you wear underneath is very important. I mean, especially while racing, you got to be.
You don't want to scrape your butt cheeks off.
Oh, which
Exactly,
reminds
that
me,
too.
I got to talk to you about something after the show.
The biggest
I knew
mentally
addition to the
checked,
wardrobe.
mentally noted.
What's the word to remember? I'll help remind you.
Ball hammock.
Ball hammock. Heard,
ball hammock.
heard that. Ball hammock. Get wet.
Shinesties, baby.
I'm wearing them right now.
Can you tell?
Plural. I'm wearing them. 2 of them.
The
He knows about it.
Ball hammocks.
Yeah, the ball hammock. Yeah,
Shinesty.
Shinesty. They got great marketing. It's incredible.
Legit. I know their ads are the best. I just watch them over and over, and then I click the buy now.
He's got me watching Keeps ads over and over.
Because I keep saying it, or because you're afraid of your hairline.
The world may never know.
It depends. If you start now, you won't wind up like me.
Yeah, I get the Keeps ads too. They just figure like he's old enough.
Yeah, he's in the right age bracket. They should have started advertising to me like 15 years ago. When I started going
exactly.
bald.
Yeah.
Too late now.
I wanted
over for
I wanted to circle back here. What and maybe this is both of you question. What's the biggest difference between like the WTF rails and the tail rails? Like obviously like maybe just one side versus two, but like why did you design the tail rails the way that you did?
Oh,
What is kind of, I mean, well, from when we were in Arkansas, we're like, there was a lot of times where we were scraping the tail. I mean, mainly it's like the only real clearance you need in the front is when you're nudging, when you're climbing, but
tabletops
tabletops
and berms.
So there's a lot of applications for the nose for sure, but when you're going fast, the board is biased back, so you kind of need to average out most of the back plus the controllers in the front. So you start to run into some issues with balancing and things and how it actually rides. So we just got to talking.
And which they have extra parts too, because you have to purchase like a kit or something to make it sit proper.
Which I haven't tried one of those, but I assume it's great though. I assume that's pretty nice. But that was sort of our simplest solution to the core issue that we were having, which was scraping the tail, having even clearance. You also get some of that once it evens out, you're kind of bowled out anyway. You're kind of scooped into the tail and the nose because the nail or the nose is elevated.
So like your lead leg just gets tired because it's
that too. Which that's another nice thing about the tail rails are also a trainer, because when you're going slow, you're like, oh, my back leg's kind of getting sore. I need to go faster. I need to even out. Because which is kind of nice going slow. You have that extra leverage on the back as well.
Gotcha.
So, but yeah, it was mainly just trying to not interfere with the nose clearance while also providing maximum tail clearance when you're going downhill at high speeds. Because when
I think it was Fireline.
It was Fireline, 100%.
Yeah, because there
were several times when I scraped the tail
an awesome trail, but it's almost impossible not to drag your tail on that. On the trail. So we kept going. We're like, all right, no tail scrapes this run. Like we got to do it. Like just commit, push down in the front, like no scrapes. And it was like nearly impossible.
Dang.
So it's like, dude, if we just had a little more clearance.
So now you get the rails mixed with the BadgerSense, like golden.
Well, that's why. That's why I think it should be a race brand. I mean, it's
So just do it.
I'm open to this.
Do it.
Get wet.
Just do it. Get wet. Have what's his name? Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll make
that would be good.
Yeah.
Shia LaBadger.
Shia LaBadger. The character has been made.
Yeah, I'm open to it.
I mean, that guy kind of seems so.
Yeah, so. Just like Badger. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
wow. Okay. You didn't know you were getting it.
I thought this was a safe space.
This is my best friend here.
And this
Please
no
don't.
BadgerSense for you.
Please don't speak.
He's going to give you a discount code that actually adds on like 10% to the price.
It's
like,
going to be
wow,
something
check out.
really
It's like
interesting.
you get it goes subtracts, and then all of a sudden you're like, you look at your cart later, and like, why did I pay like $526 for this?
Yeah.
Well, I think before we go on the show too, I wanted to is there any other parting wisdom or anything that you would put on some people like?
Oh, I don't remember. Do we have any more questions?
We covered most of the questions. I think a little bit a different way that we went back through.
Yeah, I think we covered everything. I mean,
what has Onewheel taught you?
Oh,
what's
wow.
Papa FM taught you?
Nobody wants to know that. No, it really has gotten me out. as something to do that doesn't get my legs tired or my breathing elevated, which I don't like.
Cardio.
No, seriously, I tried it all. Running, mountain biking, all of them make you tired.
Yeah.
Like your lungs start to hurt. You can't get anywhere without getting tired. I don't want that.
So do you take a pill for your cardiovascular system and then ride your one wheel places?
No, actually, my cardio now is Beat Saber one wheel.
Okay, that's
the best.
fair.
There you go.
If you go to One Woman One Wheel, the Instagram, you will see plenty of Beat Sabering one wheels.
Yeah.
Which is actually, I mean, I tried it. I tried it this past weekend, and it is difficult, and it's much more of a workout than one wheeling or Beat Saber by themselves. It is it's balancing. You think it'd be like it's fine, just kind of go back and forth. It sneaks up on you too. It sneaks up on you. Yeah, you get exhausted.
That's the thing about running. You like
guys
the tiredness
like
is like all you can think about.
Gotcha.
Whereas this, you're just like frantically trying not to fall over, and next thing you know, you've got a great workout.
The core challenge.
Yeah,
are you guys doing like a Beat Saber,
legs,
like a Beat Saber challenge, like the marshmallow challenge? Are you guys doing like a Beat Saber challenge?
There is a challenge.
I mean, I think Mandy created one. Yep.
Okay.
Created one of those. So
right.
yeah.
The One Wheel VR challenge.
The One Wheel VR challenge. All right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's other games that would maybe work with that.
Maybe a Wii.
Beat Saber is the best one though.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that'd be good too.
Yeah,
That'd be
right.
good. Very nice. Yeah.
Cool.
But it was exhausting. Yeah. Great workout.
Exhausting. Yeah.
Great workout. Yeah.
Well, Ori's core is getting better because he's doing the One Wheel VR.
That's my winter goal.
All of the others. And that's make sure you guys check out. Seriously, go badgerwheel.com. Right.
Yes.
You can also find Instagram Badgerwheel. Get your board badgered so you can get it wet.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely get wet-ish.
Wettish.
Moist.
Get moist.
Get your board moist.
Moisten it up.
You just need a bunch of stickers. Moist.
That's never happening. Don't worry, everyone. That's never happening.
Well, not through any official channels.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Dude, we appreciate you coming on the show. And I'm excited to get this one out. Excited to get this on the board and just get a bunch of... I'll be videoing it for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Seeing
We're going to get you going.
Love it.
Thanks for being my best friend.
All right.
You betcha.
You betcha, buddy.
Let's get that credit card out and let's get to know each other.
That's the same thing Dwayne Johnson said to me.
Get the credit card out,
and we'll see.
We'll see where things go.
Then we'll see where things go. Let's see how
where the
committed
evening
you are to
goes.
this friendship.
Up next,
we do not promote prostitution on the show, but for $400, you could get involved with Robert Allen.
Oh yeah, to start.
Get yourself some Badgerwheel.
I'm on the couch right now.
Ball hammock.
Yeah, get out there and get wet, people. I mean, just don't be afraid to get wet.
Ish.
And ride hard.
And ride hard.
And ride hard, just like this man.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.